Ladies and gentlemen, we are live on Facebook. For those of you watching at home, we will get started in about 12 minutes after we continue to work on audio and visual work. For those of you watching at home, if you can go ahead and make sure that you can hear us. If you want to just put something in the chat, that would be appreciated. We think we have audio, but we want to make sure. We will begin in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. We'll begin in 3 minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and call to order the meeting of the Arts and Beautification Commission. Chair Ravane is here, and we're waiting for a few other people to kind of come into the audience, but we'll go ahead and get started. Chair Ravane, the only things that we have on the agenda for the evening, some new business talking about the direction of the commission, a shameless plug for Community Cleanup Day on October 16th here at JFK Park, as well as Spangler. JFK Park will have the shredded truck, the pill disposal, respectful flag disposal, and the bike donation. And then we will have hazardous materials and electronic and bulk over at Spangler. So those are my shameless plug for the Community Cleanup Day on October 16th. So we hope everybody out there heard that. And stay tuned, as we'll have some of more of that information up on our website in the coming days. With that, I will go ahead and turn over to Chair Ravane. Make sure your microphone's on.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of updates from our past couple meetings. I met with the Reynoldsburg schools. We visited and toured through the Summit campus as well as the Livingston campus to see what types of physical spaces could be used for arts programming in the city that is partnered with city and schools, and to see what potential exists. It looks like there's a lot of different spaces that could accommodate different size programs, and so we have that filed for if that becomes an appropriate avenue to check. Last month, I met with Lori Wallace from Pickerington's Evolve Production Company to discuss a variety of things, including diversity, inclusion, and collaboration with Reynoldsburg. She is passionate about movement, arts, and music to bring awareness to human trafficking, and had asked that we potentially work together between the two cities, that we could possibly have some blended programming to address some of those things. She also suggested a collaboration for a community performing arts group between Reynoldsburg, Pickerington, and Kanawha Winchester. So just some brainstorming of how we could work together in our small communities to be a greater entity, perhaps, and be collaborative. And we also discussed, when Drew from the mayor's office joined us, we discussed working with various leaders of other townships, suburbs, and the Columbus Music Commission, various organizations, of how we can have them come to our meetings and potentially help us get a little more structure, help us create a direction for our commission in order to be more successful. And then finally, we have decided to break apart from Beautification officially. We do love the concept of beautifying Reynoldsburg, make no doubt about it. But we also feel that the directions of the two organizations might be better served with direct intention towards those specific causes. So we absolutely, see the need for beautification, and we, of course, see the benefits of collaboration. But at this time, the people who are involved in the Arts Commission want to be passionate about arts, and those who are interested in beautification have the opportunity to pursue that further. So I propose that we rename this particular committee the Reynoldsburg Arts Commission, as opposed to Arts and Beautification Committee.
All right, I'll work with the city attorney on that for any potential needed legislative changes. I know one of the things that we had talked about, we had met with members of the Gahanna Arts Commission, and one of the suggestions that they made, as they're at now, where we hope to be in a few years from now, they thought that what Reynoldsburg should be looking at is kind of like what you had mentioned about the direction. Some communities that have art commissions are very specific towards the visual arts, whether it be an art show, sculptures, something along those lines, performance art. Then the other ones are more music-based and auditory and things of that nature. So I would think that the next step with the Reynoldsburg Arts Commission is to convene a meeting of those that are interested to decide what is the exact direction that the city would, or that the commission would like to go There are pros and cons to working with the city in that regard as far as the commission itself, and I think those are some of the things that they had brought up. But as we are getting close to that time where it's the magic budget season, that if there are things that we're looking to do from a funding standpoint or participation standpoint, that might be something that would be the next thing for the commission to go. I know there's a number of people that have expressed interest in helping out, but I think, again, what you had mentioned about that, where the Arts Commission itself is so broad and arts is so many different things that it's kind of like the problem. It's not a problem. The kind of like the options are so unlimited that everybody's having a hard time focusing in on something that we would like to have for specific Reynoldsburg. I was actually talking to a resident earlier this evening, about her hopes for some sort of an opportunity of an art gallery of sorts, even on a temporary basis, but regular in our old town. So as people walk up and down the old town as they're getting ready to do, some little shopping or something to do with the restaurants or ice cream, which hopefully will be on its way soon, that would be an opportunity to have some sort of opportunity with an art show and a partnership with the school district. I'm always happy to include the schools in what we do from here. So good work, and we will work on the legislative angle on our side. And then we can put you in contact with getting some times to arrange if you want to figure out who would like to be in that particular thing. We can invite some representatives of the community that have been interested in the past, as well as make sure that the schools are reached out to. And if you want to look at some of the neighboring communities that would like to participate, we can do that, and that'll be our next step.
Now, one of the things that was mentioned in our meeting was just a sort of conceptual idea of having a very small percentage of the total budget and using that for supportive programs that fit alongside of Reynoldsburg City, the big things like Tomato Festival and things like that. But we identified together 4 different areas of programming: music, art, drama, and dance. And it sounds like there are members of the community who are passionate about all 4 of those areas. And if we sort of use those as the broad categories and then work into those, we talked about possibly doing a gallery hop style event a few months ago. And I think that would fit right into what you were suggesting as far as visual art in Old Reynoldsburg. It would also help showcase some of the local businesses that are operating there. So I see it as sort of a win-win as far as promotion and as far as getting some art out into the world. And certainly there's live music, small ensemble opportunities there. But I do think that having some sort of budget would be, some sort of operating budget would be important, so that we could then approach some of, because it's not just the idea of, being such a vast set of options, but part of it is we can come up with the greatest ideas, but if we have no understanding of how we can fund those ideas, even if they're, small, little micro programs, I think it's important that the commission would have some sort of base funding to say, hey, this is the kind of program that we want to do. It's going to be inclusive. It's going to be, focusing on the major characters that Reynoldsburg is trying to push forward as far as growth and getting promotion for the businesses out and things like that. So that's something I guess we would request as well, as if there was some sort of budget consideration moving forward.
Well, ultimately, the budget does come down to what council would permit at that point in time. We do. My hope is, at least planning stages, is to present council with a first draft of the budget at that first meeting in November. So perhaps that gives your commission a specific amount of time to look at, as far as to have maybe a first-year rough idea of what you would like to look at. I know that I had spoken with Donna Bauman, our Parks and Rec director, and Jennifer Clemens for communications, to kind of figure out, all right, out of our community events budget, out of our Parks and Rec budget, how much of it is actually dedicated to some of the fields that you're talking about. I'm looking at it, obviously, I feel that we have music covered. I know that there have been elements of dance to it, but usually it's with other things that have coming in outside of the Tomato Festival. Drama, there's a joke in here that I could say, yes, there's plenty of drama here at City Hall. So I think that's been covered. But then art as well, I think that would be something to kind of figure out how we would mold that in. But no, I think it's a fabulous idea. I think it's a good thing. And ultimately, I think that the next step is going to be to present to council to kind of have an idea of what you would like to do, and specific ask for the budget based on what we spend on other things, but then what your individual group would like to see if possible.
Right. that works for us.
All right. Was there anything else? Any old business?
I think we've covered it. And,
All right. I'll kind of go over, again, just a little bit, just as we're talking about it. I know for those of you that are paying attention at home, we do want you to know that we are working very hard on next year's Tomato Festival already. We are trying to secure basically ride vendors at this point in time. So we're getting close on some things. So hopefully we'll have some direction on that. And then once we have rides, then we can start programming out some of the other things, including next year's entertainment. And then at that point in time, I know Chair Rouvain has been very adamant and enthusiastic about his participation in that process, so we can make sure we get a great mix of the headlining acts as well as some of the supporting acts all the way throughout. So I'm looking forward to your participation in that as we move forward.
Thank you.
All right. If nothing else, we will go ahead and close out the Arts and Beautification meeting. As a reminder, everybody watching, whether you're in the Arts and Beautification Committee or not, can participate in Community Cleanup Day. We are looking for volunteers on October 16th. Shred-it truck, standing out and help collecting some of the other items are out there would be amazing. So if you're interested in that, please let us know. And with that, Rouvain, have a wonderful evening, and we will welcome members of the Welcoming and Diversity Committee to the podiums.
Thank you.
And joining us now will be Tatiana, the chair of the Welcome and Diversity Committee. We do have a couple of items. Yep, that one, that's the one. That way the camera can be right on you. Yes, there you are. First off, just two quick things. I want to express my sincerest thanks and admiration of the Macedonian Committee and the festival. It was a wonderful experience. I'm not too happy that the food was as good as it was, specifically the desserts. So I probably will have to go back and test them all again next year. Just to make sure that they're what they were this year. So my waistline hates you, but the rest of me loves you in that regard. So thank you very much. Did want to recognize again that this is Hispanic Heritage Month. Council did pass a proclamation on Monday night, and we've spoken about it on the 12 o'clock show. The other item that we have specifically for today is a discussion about the International Festival and any items that Chair Tatiana has for the committee. With that, I will turn it over to Chair Tatiana. You're all yours.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mayor. You kind of covered 1, 2, and 3 of what I was going to talk about. What we decided that we were going to discuss first was acknowledging Hispanic Heritage Month. As other ethnic groups, the Latinos are also a wonderful part of Reynoldsburg's colorful fabric. Their culture, food, music, holidays are very much welcomed and all celebrated. And as they celebrate their Hispanic Heritage Month, we also celebrate with them as well. Oh, okay. All right. Do I have to repeat this or no?
No, you were good.
No,
Just
okay.
For future so that way
All
everybody
right,
can hear.
okay. All right. I thought I was loud enough without the microphone. I normally am. A big thank you to all the Hispanic communities here in Reynoldsburg for being part of this beautiful fabric of Reynoldsburg. Speaking of Heritage Month, and you had mentioned it earlier, on behalf of the Macedonian community and the entire congregation, our church on Wagner Road, I would like to thank you, Mayor Begany, and also City Council for declaring September as Macedonian Heritage Month, and also celebrating our Independence Day with us. Every single day I drive down Main Street, well, several times, and I do turn over to the flagpoles, and it's such a great feeling to see our Macedonian flag flying there. So for that, we are very, very grateful. And we are looking forward to many more annual celebrations to come. I would also like to thank the entire community in Reynoldsburg, our neighbors, our friends that came to the festival. I hope you all had a great time and you enjoyed our food, music, dancing, and also our beautiful church. Next thing on our agenda was going to be the International Festival that's being planned, and Les is not here, could not be here tonight. He was going to talk a little bit more about that, but it is an event that is planned amongst the Visitors Bureau, Community Association, Chamber of Commerce, Reynoldsburg Schools. So they are all cooperatively planning this International Arts and Cultural Festival that's going to take place on May 21st, 2022 at Livingston campus. I believe this is something in continuation maybe from what didn't happen last year due to COVID. Just wanted to ensure that this committee, Les is very much a part of it, but I wanted to let everyone know that us as a committee, as a welcoming community and welcoming committee, we will be there to help in any way that we can.
We're looking forward to it. I did get a chance to speak with Les and Sue Brusk from the Community Association about recognizing the diversity within all of Reynoldsburg and including everyone at this international festival. And I think partnering with the schools and all of that is going to be a great thing. And I know that the date was just recently decided, so I know there's only a limited amount of details, but as we get closer, I'm sure we'll get continuous updates as we make this the wonderful festival that we know it can be.
Yeah, this will probably reveal how old I am, but I remember the international festivals downtown at the Vets Memorial. It was always such a great time. So it would be great if we have something like that here in Reynoldsburg. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. And one more thing that we have on our agenda. For this, I would like to invite John to come up and introduce something that he had brought up just a little while back, and we have been discussing it, and we think it's a really, really great idea. So I'm going to have John talk a little bit about it, and then we can discuss this further.
Thanks, Tatiana. I'd like to start out. I'm John Syriac. I'm on the Welcoming and Diversity Committee. I'd just like to say that Tatiana and Debbie Cohen and I met previously, so we had a little meeting just to strategize what we talk about tonight, and very productive meeting. So we're so excited about some things that came out of that and all that's going on. So the concept that was talked about, I approached the Parks and Recreation Department about a possible engagement opportunities in the city centered around a chat bench and what that would look like and what that means for just some interested people that know about the city and what's going on, to be just out in the community for opportunities to chat when people are around. And so in our brainstorming tonight, Tatiana had mentioned about the possibility of the Welcoming and Diversity Committee during events that are going on in the city already, to be our committee to be, or other interested citizens to be available, just to be sitting there with information about the community, whether they be, I think the city's still working on brochures, welcoming brochures, so that would be a great opportunity to have just a little stand with city brochures, and I know Les has a community magazine that could be available. So it's really about, and this is going on in other parts of the country too, where cities have places where people can just engage with one another to see what's going on. And Debbie had mentioned that at her temple, they were having some issues with the adults hanging around to engage with one another when the children were being educated, and they provided coffee. And all of a sudden, people enjoyed a cup of coffee and stayed around and just started chatting. And so it grew and grew. She could probably expound on that more than I can. So we're still in the brainstorming area of this and how that would look and what roles we would play. But now that I'm hearing about all these other events that might happen, and even if there might be an arts festival downtown, it'd be providing good opportunities for people just to engage with one another. And seeing that we're called the Welcoming Committee, I think it's really important that people that come in Reynoldsburg feel welcome. And having said that, I didn't talk about this in the meeting. I'm going to go on just a little bit longer. So this last week, I personally had two opportunities to experience Reynoldsburg in a way I never did. I was at the Shepherd's Fest up on Wagner Road at Shepherd's Corner Farm, and there were four people from out of town. And as the Shepherd's Fest was closing, they said, "Are there any parks around here that we can go walking?" Because they were chatting so much they didn't get to walk in. So I described for them Hoover Park and Civic Park and Pine Quarry Park. And they said, "Oh, we got to go see Pine Quarry Park." So they left there, and my wife and I met them down at the park, and they just were amazed. They said, "How is this here?" So it was like an opportunity to welcome people. And I think if we can encourage that for whoever's watching tonight, if you meet people, to encourage them to come into our city and really take advantage of of what we have here. The other opportunity I had, as far as diversity goes, is my neighbor's father passed away on Thursday. And so they were Nepali, and so I went over and asked. We've been communicating with them and trying to develop friendships. So I asked them, I said, "Is it okay if we come to the funeral home?" And they said, "Oh, absolutely, please come." So my wife and I went to the funeral home to pay our respects, and we're learning more and more and more about their culture and how for 13 days they have to observe the passing of the father. And so we're watching this going on because it's going on across the street from us. It's just remarkable. And so we're trying to learn as much as we can and engage as much as we can. And it's just a humbling experience seeing a different culture and how they grieve, and as opposed to maybe how I would grieve with the passage. So those two things, one on a real bright note of out-of-towners falling in love with Pine Quarry Park, and the opportunity to grieve with my neighbors, is, I think it's part of who we are as a welcoming and diversity committee. So I'm really looking forward to some things that we can do. And then hearing the presentation from the Arts Committee tonight, I got all excited about that too. So thanks for this opportunity.
Thanks, John. Yeah, definitely. We can definitely work with them as well and put something together as a team.
I would suggest that if that's something that you're looking to do, some sort of a bench or something along those lines where you'd have, I don't even want to call it a stand of some sort, where you would be able to do that, where it might be portable to go to the different events. That might be something if the Reynoldsburg Arts Commission, as it may potentially be known, maybe that would be something that you would suggest to council as a potential for something that you could have, so it would be dedicated to that particular thing. I did have one other thing that I wanted to mention. Earlier this year at our farmers market, the Bhutanese community actually had, in essence, almost feel like they sponsored one of the farmers markets. And I know that you and I had talked about the potential for the Macedonian community to do something similar. So we've spoken with our Parks and Rec and Jennifer, that pretty much controls as far as runs that farmers market. And we're more than happy to do that to accommodate. So make sure we'll reach out to you to pick out a specific month that you would like to do that for one of those events in there. And for those of you watching at home, if there is another group that you think that would be beneficial to have some sort of a cultural experience at our farmers market, similar to the Bhutanese community last year, and what I would hope to would be participation from the Macedonian community this year, please reach out to us and let us know. And that'll be something that the Welcoming and Diversity Committee can help highlight as well.
Yes, thank you for that. We did discuss this a little while ago, and I did bring it up to a few church members and the dance group who just started. They're back in business, and they're very excited. So we'll definitely talk in the future about a date, which Thursday that's going to be on and all that. But yeah, definitely happening. And I would like to propose that we get in touch, and maybe I can take on this to get the Ethiopian community involved. There are many, many, many Ethiopians living here in Reynoldsburg, and there's a church just down the road here on Main Street. So, yeah, we can definitely do that. I can talk to a few people.
Absolutely. We're in the process of, should be reaching out probably in the next week or two to the number of different community organizations, including some of our churches, some of our community association, the Masons, and so on and so on, a number of different groups for a calendar invite. As most of you hopefully will know, that we are in the process of devising a new website, as well as our community magazine that will be coming out after the first of the year. So we want to make sure that any of those particular dates, as many of them as we can that have been decided upon, can be published in that, including hopefully if I know that you guys just finished with the Macedonian Festival, but I'm sure that somebody has already started talking about next year. But just to make sure that we have those dates in there. This is going to be a different thing that's going to come out for the community. It's going to be something I don't think Reynoldsburg has seen before. And again, if you are watching at home, feel free and click over to the City of Reynoldsburg website, and you can actually see it. There's a digital version on there right now, and so it's going to basically look like that, except it's going to be real paper, something you can hold and flip through and hold throughout the year. So we want to make sure that we get all of these events as best as we can in there for next year.
Yeah, sounds good.
Was there any other topics for this evening?
I think that's all for us for today.
All right, and with that, we'll go ahead and bring a close to the Welcoming and Diversity Committee. I look forward to seeing you in October. Our next meeting will be on October 13th at 7 p.m., and scheduled for right now is the always exciting Traffic and Transportation Committee. And we will also have our Military Recognition Committee meeting as we prepare for our Veterans Day ceremony at Memorial Plaza in November. So I look forward to both those groups coming in as we continue our discussions on everything from speeding and stop signs and speed bumps, all the way to recognizing those that have served in our U.S. military. With that, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. And again, for those of you watching at home, you can participate as well. You can come back in and actually join in any of these committees. You can show up and volunteer. It's always good to hear fresh ideas all the way across. With that, thank you all very much, and we will see you soon.